All right, everybody, welcome to Mindful Monday. My name is Alicia. Today, we are starting off Mindful Monday with our EFT tapping, and we will be tapping on the theme of loneliness, or if you're feeling lonely. So go ahead and you can start tapping and tap along with me, and you can say the phrases or affirmations out loud, or you can say them in your mind, or you can just listen. Even though I feel alone right now, I choose to show respect and compassion to myself. And even though I don't know how to make this feeling go away, I choose to completely love and accept myself. As well as anyone else connected to this. All this loneliness I feel right now, all this emptiness I feel inside, why do I feel so alone? Will this feeling of loneliness ever go away? Will I ever feel like I truly belong? Whatever I am feeling is valid. It is easy for me to allow my emotions without judgment. So I allow myself to process them all now. The truth is, this feeling of loneliness is only temporary. And even though I may be alone right now, I don't have to be lonely. I have the power to reframe this experience. And turn this into an opportunity to know myself better. I don't always need others around me to feel happy. In fact, I am learning to appreciate these moments of solitude. Because I am ready to start enjoying my own company. There is nothing wrong with me because I feel alone right now. So I release any feelings of shame associated with this lonely feeling. I know I can give myself the things I need to feel better. I also know I am aligning with a community that is perfect for me. And that unconditionally accepts me as I am. Because I unconditionally love and accept myself as I am. I know I am cherished, loved, and important. I know my life has meaning, value, and purpose. I know I am full of self-love. I no longer depend on external validation to feel good. I remember when I felt so lonely and isolated. But now I feel safe, supported, and like I truly belong. I feel connected to myself and others at the deepest level. I know I am loved and have an amazing support system. And I am surrounded by people who love spending time with me. And I now know and feel the truth of this all. Mind, body, and soul. Then go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And if you have water nearby, grab a drink of water. All right, we're going to move on to our activity here. We are doing automatic writing today. So what automatic writing is, I'm going to guide you through a few deep breaths to calm the mind and relax you, although the EFT may have also relaxed you. And then after that, what you're going to do is you're just going to do automatic writing. So you're going to write everything that comes to your mind without even thinking about it. It doesn't matter what it is. This is just for you. No one else is going to read it. You don't have to share it with anybody. And just start writing judgment free. It doesn't have to be cohesive. It doesn't have to make any sense. Just start writing everything that comes to mind. So go ahead for right now and close your eyes. I'll just guide you through some deep breaths, about 3 of them, okay? So go ahead and close your eyes and relax. And go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose, down to your belly. And release that breath. Breathing all the way out. And then take another deep breath in through your nose, down into your belly. Fill your belly up. And then exhale through your mouth. You can even sigh out loud if you'd like as you exhale. And then we'll do one more deep breath in through your nose, all the way down to your belly. And then out through your mouth. And make sure you have some paper and pen. You can type on a computer if you'd like. And I'm going to turn on music, and I'm going to flip the camera here so that you have the prompt in front of you. Okay, so now that you've done your automatic writing, what you can do is look over what you've written. Sometimes it's interesting to observe when you're automatic writing the things that came out that you didn't even think about. So you can see if there are any patterns and thoughts that came up, if any creative ideas came up, if there's something that's going on under the surface that you didn't even realize. So this brought that to light for you. So you can use this as feedback to kind of do some more internal reflection or see if there's anything you'd like to shift in terms of self-concept or to follow through on creatively or anything of that nature. Okay. All right. Shall we move on to reading to the lovely, the wonderful Power of Now? Here we go. When consciousness frees itself from its identification with physical and mental forms, it becomes what we may call pure or enlightened consciousness or presence. This has already happened in a few individuals, and it seems destined to happen soon on a much larger scale, although there is no absolute guarantee that it will happen. Most humans are still in the grip of the egoic mode of consciousness, identified with their mind and run by their mind. If they do not free themselves from their mind in time, they will be destroyed by it. They will experience increasing confusion, conflict, violence, illness, despair, madness. Egoic mind has become like a sinking ship. If you don't get off, you will go down with it. The collective egoic mind is the most dangerously insane and destructive entity ever to inhabit this planet. What do you think will happen on this planet if human consciousness remains unchanged? Already for most humans, the only respite they find from their own minds is to occasionally revert to a level of consciousness below thought. Everyone does that every night during sleep. But this also happens to some extent through sex, alcohol, and other drugs that suppress excessive mind activity. If it weren't for alcohol, tranquilizers, antidepressants, as well as the illegal drugs which are all consumed in vast quantities, the insanity of the human mind would become even more glaringly obvious than it already is. I believe that if deprived of their drugs, a large part of the population would become a danger to themselves and others. These drugs, of course, simply keep you stuck in dysfunction. Their widespread use only delays the breakdown of the old mind structures and the emergence of higher consciousness. While individual users may get some relief from the daily torture inflicted on them by their minds, they are prevented from generating enough conscious presence to rise above thought and so find true liberation. Falling back to a level of consciousness below mind, which is the pre-thinking level of our distant ancestors and of animals and plants, is not an option for us. There is no way back. If the human race is to survive, it will have to go on to the next stage. Consciousness is evolving throughout the universe in billions of forms. So even if we didn't make it, this wouldn't matter on a cosmic scale. No gain in consciousness is ever lost, so it would simply express itself through some other form. But the very fact that I am speaking here and you are listening or reading this is a clear sign that the new consciousness is gaining a foothold on this planet. There is nothing personal in this. I am not teaching you. You are consciousness, and you are listening to yourself. There is an Eastern saying, the teacher and the taught together create the teaching. In any case, the words in themselves are not important. They are not the truth. They only point to it. I speak from presence, and as I speak, you may be able to join me in that state. Although every word that I use has a history, of course, and comes from the past, as all language does, the words that I speak to you now are carriers of the high energy frequency of presence, quite apart from the meaning they convey as words. Silence is an even more potent carrier of presence. So when you read this or listen to me speak, Be aware of the silence between and underneath the words. Beware of the gaps. To listen to the silence wherever you are is an easy and direct way of becoming present. Even if there is noise, there is always some silence underneath and in between the sounds. Listening to the silence immediately creates stillness inside you. Only the stillness in you can perceive the silence outside. And what is stillness other than presence, consciousness freed from thought forms? Here is the living realization of what we have been talking about. Christ, the reality of your divine presence. Don't get attached to any one word. You can substitute Christ for presence if that is more meaningful to you. Christ is your God essence, or the self, as it is sometimes called in the East. The only difference between Christ and presence is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not, whereas presence means your awakened divinity or God essence. Many misunderstandings and false beliefs about Christ will clear if you realize that there is no past or future in Christ. To say that Christ was or will be is a contradiction in terms. Jesus was. He was a man who lived 2,000 years ago and realized divine presence, his true nature. And so he said, "Before Abraham was, I am." He did not say, "I already existed before Abraham was born." That would have meant that he was still within the dimension of time and form identity. The words "I am" used in a sentence that starts in the past tense indicate a radical shift, a discontinuity in the temporal dimension. It is a Zen-like statement of great profundity. Jesus attempted to convey directly, not through discursive thought, the meaning of presence, of self-realization. He had gone beyond the consciousness dimension governed by time into the realm of the timeless. The dimension of eternity had come into this world. Eternity, of course, does not mean endless time, but no time. Thus, the man Jesus became Christ, a vehicle for pure consciousness. And what is God's self-definition in the Bible? Did God say, "I have always been and I always will be"? Of course not. That would have given reality to past and future. God said, "I am that I am." No time here, just presence. The second coming of Christ is a transformation of human consciousness, a shift from time to presence, from thinking to pure consciousness, not the arrival of some man or woman. If Christ were to return tomorrow in some externalized form, what could he or she possibly say to you other than this? "I am the truth. I am divine presence. I am eternal life. I am within you. I am here. I am now." Never personalize Christ. Don't make Christ into a form identity. Avatars, divine mothers, enlightened masters, the very few that are real, are not special as persons. Without a false self to uphold, defend, and feed, they are more simple, more ordinary than the ordinary man or woman. Anyone with a strong ego would regard them as insignificant or, more likely, not see them at all. If you are drawn to an enlightened teacher, it is because there is already enough presence in you to recognize presence in another. There were many people who did not recognize Jesus or the Buddha, as there are and always have been many people who are drawn to false teachers. Egos are drawn to bigger egos. Darkness cannot recognize light. Only light can recognize light. So don't believe that the light is outside you or that it can only come through one particular form. If only your master is an incarnation of God, then who are you? Any kind of exclusivity is identification with form, and identification with form means ego, no matter how well disguised. Use the Master's presence to reflect your own identity beyond name and form back to you and to become more intensely present yourself. You will soon realize that there is no mine or yours in presence. Presence is one. Group work can also be helpful for intensifying the light of your presence. A group of people coming together in a state of presence generates a collective energy field of great intensity. It not only raises the degree of presence of each member of the group, but also helps to free the collective human consciousness from its current state of mind dominance. This will make the state of presence increasingly more accessible to individuals. However, unless at least one member of the group is already firmly established in it, and thus can hold the energy frequency of that state, the egoic mind can easily reassert itself and sabotage the group's endeavors. Although group work is invaluable, it is not enough, and you must not come to depend on it. Nor must you come to depend on a teacher or a master, except during the transitional period, when you are learning the meaning and practice of presence. And that is where we will stop for today, because that's the end of chapter 5. And that's going to end Mindful Monday for today.